This is Frank Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report. I was watching a columnist out of England yesterday talking about Skid Row in LA, where people were living where rats outnumbered the individuals, living in feces and everything. Skid Row, LA, where the homeless and the destitute, they've become concentrated for more than a century in this little area called Skid Row. You know, many of the men and women that sleep there in these rows, they line up one after another, block after block. They have these makeshift tent homes, cardboard boxes. They are preyed upon by the criminals. The drugs are easily available. The STDs and the physical violence are everywhere. Living around infectious diseases, tuberculosis, hepatitis, AIDS, and others. Skid Row is a national disgrace, a grim reminder of the man's ability or inability to help his fellow man. A staggering homeless problem that radiates throughout LA and many cities throughout America. But no matter where you live in LA, these people can't no longer claim to be unaware of these sprawling tent cities, these sprawling encampments of despair and misery. It is not morally acceptable nor practical for people to blitherly tolerate the signs of destitution, which we commonly associate with such slums as Rio de Janeiro. You know, when they come up, the beggars, you'll shut your window. They're out on the freeway wanting to clean it for $1, your window. You just say, go away. Stepping ever so casually across the men and women that are curled up, sleeping. You can throw them money, but many say money doesn't solve the problem. And in the end, the tougher questions are, how do you spend it? Where do you spend it? And whom do you spend it on? What is the true measure of success? You have politicians that have long shirked their responsibility to address the problem. They need to exercise real leadership. Stop pandering to the vocal minorities out there, the residents who object to housing for the homeless and low income because it's in their neighborhood. We got to ask ourselves, how did we get here? For as long as we've had homeless people, there's been a tendency to blame the victims themselves for their conditions, their failure to thrive. It's an issue with their character, with their moral weakness, because they're lazy. Isn't that what we always hear? A confluence of factors are driving these people to the streets. In California, it's the severe housing shortage. It's the gentrification that's taking more and more of the affordable rentals off the streets. The restrictive zoning laws with higher construction costs. And the anti-development sentiment that's out there for new affordable housing. And you could say it's the same outside of LA, even in small cities like in Venice or in Sarasota. But the homeless, are they mostly mentally ill? Are they drug addicted? Are they raving, mad-adhered, frightening individuals? They are not mostly people who drifted in from other states to search for a comfy climate. They're people that have lived there and fallen on hard times. Their challenges, they're enormous, even if everyone is pulling them in the same direction. The county's homeless population up there and throughout the United States is increasing faster and faster than the supply of housing that's out there. And even the world's richest nations, such as ourselves. The homeless on this scale is shameful. And you would realize that if you watch the video, like the one I'm showing now. But it's more in depth, more shocking. So most of us, we can no longer be shocked or shamed by the homeless problem that we have in society. These individuals, they're uncomfortable. They're irritated, they're disgusted, they're scared or oblivious to the homeless problem, to the homeless individual. Compassion is being replaced with resignation. But you must remember that these men, these guys that are curled up in these sleeping bags, these women that are pushing the shopping carts around and talking to themselves, they could be your mother, they could be your brother, they could be your friend, or they could be yourself. So it's imperative that we act now, that you act now, so that you won't wake up in 5, 10, 20 years wondering where the hell it all went wrong. What could you have been possibly thinking? Why did you keep quiet when such a catastrophe is happening in small town USA? This has been Frank Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report.